What's going on, everybody? Doc Average Gamer Guys back yet again. More Escape from Tarkov action. Jumping into a video today, I am going to talk about, in my opinion, the best early wipe weapon for you to use if you're looking to progress, in addition to being able to make some money and take down some relatively geared players. I'm going to offer a couple of other options for this because I have a feeling there's going to be quite a few of you that may or may not agree with me. But we'll talk about some of the pros and cons of my selection. So without further ado, let's jump in. Let's talk some early wipe weapons. Okay, so first and foremost, I have to give a little bit of background as I jump in with why I selected this specific gun. When I think about the overall progression of Tarkov from an early wipe standpoint, and as of the recording of this, we're still only about a week or so into the wipe. Now granted, there are lots of players who have made pretty good progression. Myself, I'm up into right over level 30 and starting to get access to some better gear. What I will tell you though is that I think about the long-term progression of what this weapon is going to allow you to do, in addition to how easy it is to obtain ammo and the different situations that you can run it in. Now, I am coming from a perspective that I want to try to maximize my time spent in a raid, and I also have the goal of making it to top tier traders, in addition to that, making it to Kappa. With that consideration in mind, it will make a little bit more sense as I dive in why I've chosen the weapon that I've chosen. But I am going to spend some time also talking about some other good options, how you can look to modify those things relatively early, and then how you can progress at stage 2 traders, what you can kind of evolve that into. This is also important that this is purely subjective because I think there are a lot of good options early, and it's dependent on really a lot of what you feel comfortable with playing. If you enjoy an SMG and the ability to control the recoil a little bit better, and you're running customs or some of the closer range maps like interchange, this may not be as good of an option for you, and we'll talk about a few that are. In addition to that, there are the flip sides. If you're playing some other maps like Woods, some of the longer range maps like Shoreline, trying to get some of your early game quests done, and just trying to accumulate gear and a little bit of wealth, I think it'll make sense. So we'll chat about it, give some options, and again, I don't think this will be anything groundbreaking for anybody that's had some experience, but it might shed light on a few things that are good. So I'll keep you in suspense. I've kept you in suspense long enough. Let's jump in. Let's talk about it. You probably tell by the thumbnail, this is where we're going, okay? This, in my opinion, is the best early wipe weapon that you're going to have. Now, this is going to get a lot of hate, especially for some players that may have a longer term history with this gun. When it was first introduced, it was extremely overpowered. It became like the Mosin meta for a long time. It has since seen some tweaks which have really brought it back in line. But I want to talk about a couple of things as far as importance on why I think this is a really good pick. One, it's accessible from Prepare level 1 right out the gate. The nice part about this is you don't have to do a single thing to this, okay? You're pulling this single slot, 5-slot weapon. You're going to be able to throw some ammo in your pockets. You can essentially throw some ears on, maybe a backpack, and you can go run some raids. The nice part is too, is that the ammo that you're probably going to run for this early game is going to be LPSGZH. Now this is a really solid ammo. You're going to come to find that a lot of times you can, it's a very reliable 2-shot, and as you get practice with your Mosin, you're going to come to find that you're going to be able to click heads pretty good. The nice part ends up being with the infantry version too. It's not great on ergonomics, but it's certainly better. You're going to be able to pull up. You're going to be able to get into a close range fight, and probably with the lower tiers of armor that's being run right now, you're going to find that you can win some of these fights. In addition, you can, with the iron sights, I truly believe, reach out and actually get some good, decent mid to longer range shots and have a high amount of accuracy. The best part about this ends up being is allows you to really take down scavs extremely well. You can then kind of gear up from this point. Nobody ever takes this gun, so this is another bonus, is if you insure this, you are absolutely almost guaranteed to get it back unless somebody is really hurting for money, and that is a huge benefit as well. So it is a very low risk, high potential reward, and again, you can be dropping tier 4 armor with LPS, 2 very well LPS shots to the chest very, very consistently. So this is my choice 100%. And I say this too because please consider, you need to work your sniper skill. If you're hoping to make some progression in this wipe, if you're hoping to get, I don't think you need to do this for max traders necessarily, but if you're hoping to really grind through your quests and get a lot of progress, early sniper experience is going to be really important. I will tell you, I've done this for the last couple of wipes where I've run this gun for the first quite a few levels, to be honest, and I will tell you, not only has my proficiency extremely improved, and I'm very deadly with this thing. If you caught some of the first week of streams, you saw me running this a lot and had a lot of success with it. In addition to that, my sniper skill is already up. I think I'm almost level 4 or level 5, which is a great place to be. I've already also finished Tarkov shooter, and that comes purely from having experience with these guns in addition to working on the quest progression to be able to get there. If you're not familiar, Tarkov shooter is a Jaeger quest line. There are 8 parts. It has you using bolt action sniper rifles in a lot of different scenarios. The final part is killing 3 players on woods in a single raid with a bolt action. So again, experience with this weapon or another bolt action weapon is extremely valuable, and I think the Mosin is a fantastic choice. Again, when you look at total, just price, availability of the ammo, and are you going to be getting this gun back? Now, is again this going to perform super great in close in range? Not particularly, unless again you have a lot of practice with it, but you'd be very surprised how many people you're going to drop with this thing when in a close range firefight, especially early wipe. So that's my pick. Flame me down in the comments below, let me know why I'm so stupid and why this would never work, but I guarantee you, if you spend some time and you get some practice with this thing, you will not be disappointed. You can go the full infantry side if you want. I will tell you, I don't recommend this. The only reason ends up being is the ergonomics is so much worse. Granted, this is a much more better. It's much better from an MOA standpoint, but I will tell you that you're going to have quite a bit of success with the infantry carbine version if you choose to run that. Now, if you feel like you're missing your shots, definitely take the chance. You can run the full-sized musket version, as I like to call it, if that makes you feel better. The thing that kind of stinks about this weapon is that you don't get the opportunity to run the sniper version, which I think would help people a lot, unless you can obviously afford the barter trade, and the barter trade ends up being not particularly great. You have to farm this quite a bit to be able to get there, and it takes a while, I think, actually to unlock. You can get the sniper version at level 2 with Rapport, which is going to allow you to throw on obviously your optics, and you can buy all of the optics actually at level 1, which is interesting enough. You need 3 parts. You need the mount, you need the scope rings, and obviously the rifle scope itself. So talking about that, again, I think the 3.5x, which I believe this scope is a really good rifle scope. Great for being able to reach out. I do think it limits your close in range potential. What I will tell you I have transitioned to doing now that I am a little bit of a higher level is if I do run a sniper rifle, I've also been finding a lot of success running a pistol like a Glock or something else in addition to that in order to take down the scavs. Or if I end up getting into a close range player fight and I hit them with one of these Mosin shots, I will actually quickly transition to my pistol and be able to deal the final bit of damage. Because if you hit somebody with this Mosin, even with LPS GZH, they are definitely going to be feeling it, and they're going to be in a tough spot. So you, I think, have an advantage there. Let's spend a little bit of time outside of my main pick talking about a few other opportunities. It is important to note that once you get to trader level 2, a whole bunch of additional options open up for you, but that's not happening at the earliest until level 14. Level 15, most of the traders, with the exception of mechanic, open up. he does not become level 2 available until level 20. So you have to grind and you have to make some progress. What I will tell you is at level 1, again, there are some other options. You can buy this base SKS. I'd recommend actually taking a look at Jaeger for this because you can put a sight on his, and I think it is a better overall option. Additionally, from Prepor level 1, you can run the Keter. The problem ends up being with this is you don't have the option outside of this barter trade to get these 30-round mags. This red pliers are pretty accessible, so if you find a handful and you want to give this a run, I think leg meta, it's certainly a thing, and you can find a lot of success taking some players down with this thing. Pretty good from a headshot perspective, and obviously the ammo is relatively available. So do take into consideration for that, but if this magazine was available at level 1, I think you'd see a lot more of these running around. Kind of the same thing can be said for the PPSH. If you're really needing a submachine or a fully automatic gun, PPSH is probably a better option, again, because you have the 35-round mags available for you. And TT FMJ 43, it's not great, but it definitely can be a decent leg meta gun. Going into level 2 with Prepor here really quickly, you definitely have a lot more AK options. I am a particular fan of the AKM. You're going to require this for some of your Punisher Shoreline quest. So you're going to get familiarity with this gun if you choose to go and complete those quests. The nice part ends up being is while you don't have the dust covers available from Prepor, if you get your level 2, I believe with Skier, he has a dust cover that will allow you to put a sight on this. Interestingly enough, you also have this right here, which you can replace the rear sight on this gun with this to allow you to put a standard small optic on this, such as your Cobra. You can run a couple of different other optics, which I think is the one thing that really helps newer players or people that might struggle with the iron sights. This is a great option. I don't think a lot of people know about this. Really small, less than 3,000 rubles, but this gives you a good opportunity. Again, throw a sight on this thing and you can turn this into a decent weapon platform. In addition, as you start to mod guns up, this recoil pad is extremely valuable for all of your AK and AKM series weapons that can take it. You're going to see that for a mere few thousand rubles, you're going to be able to get -5 recoil and +2 ergonomics, which is certainly going to help these weapons. The reason I choose the AKM as being probably one of the top tier options for early wipe, again, easily modifiable with a couple of additional attachments. In addition, PS ammo is extremely available. You're going to be able to pick it up. You're going to be able to pick it up at Prepor level 1. And with that, PS 7.62x39 is absolutely fantastic. Great round, going to get through armor, head taps, pretty reliable. You're going to find a lot of success taking players down with this ammo. So those are probably my top couple of options for Prepor here between levels 1 and 2 if you're looking for early wipe, and again, some really good options. You also have a couple of muzzle brake compensators I would take a look at. I don't think the best option is not here with Prepor, but you do have a few that can definitely be pretty good. So definitely worth spending a little bit, a couple of thousand extra rubles if you're going to mod your weapon out to be able to get a little bit of a better AKMN or AKMNS, depending on which MS, if you choose to go that option. Jumping over Skier, I think Skier is probably one of the worst when it comes to a weapon standpoint, at least early game. The only thing I would really recommend is if you can find the keys, and these are really crappy keys that you're not going to use, you could trade for a 153, fantastic. Again, VPOs are not terrible early wipe. The best thing that Skier is going to be able to offer you at level 1 is going to be this Academy Bastion dust cover. Again, this is a good replacement if you don't want to go the alternate route like I showed you with Prepor to be able to put an optic. Now this is going to give you the option to put good variable optics, longer range optics on your guns. The problem ends up being that at level 1 and level 2 there really are not a ton of longer range optics unless you find them in raid. You don't have access to anything like your Voodoos, your Vortexes, your Spectres, even your Bravos. A lot of the standard ranged optics don't become available until later on. I think that's good overall for the meta of the play, of the gameplay and the game early wipe. but obviously can be frustrating if you're trying to get something that can reach out and touch some people. But this is definitely the home run here, and you got to make sure that you know that if you're going to do any of your AK modifications, the Bash and Dust cover is the way to go. Other than that, you're going to see a lot of people at some point probably recommend the ADAR. Here's what is really nice about this. 8.55 is extremely accessible. 30 round mags for this are extremely accessible, which is nice. And at level 1, you do have an option to remove this front sight and gas block, which is essentially what this is. This is a combo front sight gas block. You can remove this to get rid of that in order to put just even a standard optic like your Walther or any other Cobra sight that you want to throw on here. I think 8R is a really good option, relatively cheap, 45,000 rubles. You don't have to do a ton of modifications outside of the gas block and a sight, and you have a pretty reliable weapon. If the trouble with this ends up being is that 8.55 and just 8.5 223 in general is just does not perform. 5.56 in this game just does not perform very well right now with some recent ammo changes. So hopefully that comes around. But if you're just looking to kill some scavs, or you're getting some good practice, or you're really good at clicking heads, an 8R can be a really fantastic option. Level 2 for Skier gets a little interesting. You do get some really good options. I think the Vector opens up after a quest. The RFB is a favorite of a lot of folks if you have the ability to grab M80s from Peacekeeper. So do consider that. It's a great way to be able to spend some money for some of that early quest progression. Again, the problem ends up being is you don't have a ton of really great sights. You do get the compact prism. I'm not the biggest fan of this optic. Not a lot of people are, because of the reticle itself, but it is a zoom scope 2.5x, and you can get both the mount and the scope itself from Skier here at level 2, which does give you some options. You also get some additional modifiable options for some AKs and a few other things. You get some suppressor options as well, which is not a terrible thing. So you definitely get some modification help here from him at level 2. But outside of that, guns, really not a ton I would recommend. This, I think, is really interesting. The SAG AK is a new weapon for this wipe. I think this has the potential to be really fantastic. Has an incredible MOA. The muzzle velocity is absolutely insane. This is only single shot. The problem ends up being, as far as trying to think about budget and reliability and all those things up front, at 90,000 rubles, I don't think this is the weapon you want to jump into if you're just trying to get in and run some kind of lower gear raids. Now, if you have the ability to progress, you get up to level 15, you've got some money saved up, I would definitely give this a run. Fantastic ergonomics. I think you'd be really happy with this gun. So definitely up there as far as recommendations, but I think you got to be set up a little bit more in order to run this. The best part ends up being you can throw a foregrip and a lot of other stuff on this. It's mount ready for optics. You're going to be able to do a lot with this very early on. Makes this a really good choice. Jumping over to Peacekeeper, not a ton I would recommend here. Obviously, if you can get your hands on an ump by saving up a handful of knives, this is a good option. The problem ends up being, well, you can't get ammo, you can get match FMJ, and you can get the 25 rounders at level 1. So this is a solid option, but again, you can't reliably find it unless you're really farming these knives. Other than that, I would love to see an MPX become available a little bit earlier. I think this is a direct competitor to especially the MP5s that you can end up buying or that you start with. MPX has been a really solid gun for me, and I've actually enjoyed using it once I've been able to get it unlocked. The best thing that you're going to be able to get from Peacekeeper early on is actually going to be ammo. In addition to, we're going to talk about the SKS, and we mentioned it with Purpore, but the 20 round mags here become available from Peacekeeper at level 1 as well. So this is a fantastic item for you. You can really take an SKS, you can mod this thing out really nicely, put a sight, put a 20 rounder in it, and that's going to be a very successful and relatively inexpensive gun for you to run early wipe. So it's important to know that. You do get some decent optic options with him, but again, really Peacekeeper doesn't start to shine until the upper levels here a little bit as far as opportunities, and there's no specific gun I would recommend, particularly from him at level 1. Now, level 2 gets a lot more interesting. Again, you have a lot of more options. You get your M80s available. this is where I think, again, that RFB can become pretty viable. Again, you don't get a ton of long range, and there's really no good long range options available. You can save up for this Bravo 4 whiskey, relatively sort of available depending on what you run. SAS drives, relatively rare, I would say, so that becomes pretty hard. The nice part ends up being is you get another option for your ADARs if you want to remove that front sight, if you're running that with this low profile gas block. Again, you get some good magazine options, but the weapons do certainly open up. And again, I mentioned the EMPX. If you are looking to run an SMG, I would really recommend giving the MPX a try. The beautiful part about this MPX is relatively cheap comparatively for Peacekeeper, $33. It is foregrip ready, so you can grab one from him or grab one from Skier or Mechanic. Throw that on there. Bam, throw one of the sight options that you have available. I am a personal fan of the EOTech XPS3 myself. Bam, you throw that on top, and this is going to be a really, really solid gun for you. PST GZH, you'd be really surprised, actually can absolutely own some folks, and you're going to find that this thing has a really good recoil control and availability to use. So this is probably one of my top picks for Peacekeeper at level 2, and definitely consider giving it a run. I wish I could say that the G36 was a good option. I don't think either of these builds are, just because of the sight options. And obviously everybody is also going to tell you that as soon as you can get the this becomes one of the premier guns to be able to run. Again, also just like the MPX, you throw a sight, you throw a foregrip on this bad boy. You can even go ahead and you can get the suppressor, which I highly recommend if you have the ability to do that. It's going to help level up Peacekeeper from a money spent perspective anyways. That makes this gun extremely, extremely good. I wouldn't worry about laser match. I would just stick with the FMJs here, the match FMJs, and you are going to be in really, really good progress. So and MPX, if you can get it at level 2, I think are my recommendations for Mr. Peacekeeper. Really quickly, let's touch on Mechanic here. Pretty similar to a lot of the others, not a ton of good options. The one I would say, this has always been a favorite of mine, the 133 shotgun. The tough part ends up being these red screwdrivers have become extremely rare. They used to not be so rare. It used to be you were kind of hunting down elite pliers. I would strongly recommend, if you run interchange a lot and you find those items, this is a fantastic barter trade in my opinion. You get a fully modded gun here, nice sight, you get a foregrip, you get a flashlight, and you are going to be good to go. And I think shotguns, very similar to the Mosin, are great things to run early. Very low risk, high reward capability, especially even with 7mm. 7mm absolutely shreds. Now, you can look to do some of the additional barter trades if you're really lucky. I don't think I would really recommend a ton of these. Obviously, a Glock, if you're looking for a pistol, I think a Glock is a really solid option up front. But other than that, there's not a ton here. I mentioned this is the gas block that you're going to be able to use to put on your ADAR at that level 1, so you can make that modification once you get your workbench up and running. This is what you're going to want to be able to buy. He used to get the low profile gas block, and I think they actually swapped it up and moved that over to Peacekeeper, and then moved the ability to get the low profile gas block up to level 2 with Mechanic here. But there is still a good level 1 option for you. Once we transition into level 2 here, again, not a ton that I would recommend up front, because a lot of his weapons are pretty well situated and typically are requiring quite a bit of barters. Now, if you can save up for the barter, again, I would recommend, like, this SKS is a fantastic option, with the exception that the screwdrivers, again, have become relatively rare. If that changes and these become a lot more available, GP coins I think you're going to find pretty often in safes. So at this point, hopefully you're able to hit a few. You can do some of the free ones like on woods and stumble across these. You'll find these in duffel bags from time to time as well. This is a fantastic barter, and I think a really good SKS. Again, you can look to put a sight on the front of this thing, and you can have yourself a pretty good time with this bad boy. And it comes with a 20-round mag as well, which is really, really nice. Other than that, there's not a ton. There's some good modifications here to take a look at that start to become available. Nothing great. I do wish, again, that we had certain scopes like this that become a lot more available sooner. If you can end up getting lucky enough to find a couple SSDs, I'm a big fan of the LCAN, and that can be something great to throw on your 8R or your RFB and rock and roll. Just remember that Mechanic is going to be the latest of the unlocks at level 20, so he's going to be the one that you probably look to at least, probably the least, at least initially up front. All right, and then talking about Jaeger, I think you really have one or two solid options here. Again, a lot of people, and I would be in the same boat, will recommend this SKS. You've got the mount on the side. Again, we talked about from Peacekeeper, you're going to be able to get that 20-round mag. Boom, you throw that on. You throw a sight on, let's see what's available. I think you have the Cobra that's actually on the mount. That gives you an option. You have a couple of mounting options here as well. I think the SKS is an absolutely fantastic option to be able to do that, especially if you're going to go like scav hunting on woods or something. And again, it is going to run that 762 by 39 PS, which is a fantastic round early and absolutely going to drop some people. A lot of folks, again, we've talked about VPOs, very similar to the AKM. Single shot, though, this is a good option. It looks like they've since changed the availability of the 133. I am a big fan of the 153 myself. I think this is overall a better shotgun. Again, this wouldn't be a terrible barter if it didn't include red screwdrivers. If you end up stumbling on them, I think this is a good option. 153. If you want, I definitely wouldn't sleep on 133s either. The nice part ends up being is that if you can make this barter trade. This is the mount that goes on top of your shotguns that then allows you to put an optic on top. And I think that can make shotguns a lot more viable for you, especially early. The nice part ends up being once you transition to level 2 with him, you get the ability to buy this rail mount for 3,500 rubles, and is fantastic. You also get the best, I think, at least ranged optic initially with a trader, which is going to be this 2x prism scope from Jaeger as well. This is a good option if you want to get a little bit of range and start to reach out with your 8Rs, your RFBs a little bit. This is a really, really good option. Now, the 153 becomes available at level 2 for Jaeger. This is a really good pick for me. I'm a big fan of this shotgun. The nice part ends up being too is that you can get your 7-shell capacity magazine. So with a little bit of money spent, you can throw a couple of things on the front of this, and this can absolutely be a killer for you. In addition to that, 8.5 millimeter buckshot. These Magnum bucks do a ton of damage, and I think you'll be pretty happy if you get comfortable with using this gun. Again, the nice part about shotguns, Mosin, and a few of these other weapons is it's ammo in your pocket. Same thing with the SKS. You put a handful of rounds, ammo in your pocket. You don't have to worry about necessarily even running a rig if you don't want to. And again, you can really go kind of min-max to being able to have some good success and be able to drop players surprisingly well with a lot of these options. I would also tell you that the Vepr Hunter used to be a favorite of mine. I think there are better options for this. And I mean, M80s are absolutely fantastic. So if you want to give this a go, I think it's pretty solid. Unfortunately, you don't get access to the level, the 10 rounders, which I think really kind of make this gun highlight until level 3. So do just kind of keep that in mind. But we covered a lot here. Hopefully this was really valuable for you. Again, I've had quite a ton of experience. I have a lot of hours in the game, and I will tell you that the Mosin will not let you down. Give it a try, give it a run. If you haven't run it a ton and you're looking to make some progress, I strongly recommend it. And I think you will come to find that as you gain some proficiency with it, you will not be disappointed with its ability to absolutely drop some players. But SKS, AKM, whole ton of additional options. And again, once you get up to level 14, 15, and then subsequently 20, get your traders leveled up to level 2, the world of options starts to open up for you. Now, this is all going from a perspective of what can you buy from the trader and what can you get reliably. Outside of that, obviously, hopefully you're taking down some players, maybe taking down some bosses like Rashala or Sturman, and you're going to have the ability to use their weapons. There are plenty of really solid weapons out there for you to be able to pick up, go after, and get if you can run across either the right player or the right scav boss and have some good opportunities. In addition, if you get really comfortable with Lighthouse and killing rogues or going into reserve and killing raiders, you can find some really solid options for some great guns with some good modifications from them. So do please keep that in mind as good options as well. But I want to just kind of cover this, share my thoughts. Again, hopefully you're enjoying the 12:30 wipe. More content coming at you, and we are getting prepped, and we are in the process of recording our hardcore and our escape series. So should be seeing that as early as next week. So stick around with us. Hopefully enjoy that, and we're really excited to jump into those series back again for their new seasons with this new wipe. We'll also be covering and chatting about some additional tasks and some additional things as we get a little bit farther into the wipe. I also just want to throw out there, do appreciate all the support on the channel. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know if there's a gun down below that you've had a lot of success with in the early wipe as far as fights and what you are accustomed to using. In addition to all that, I think that's really helpful to hear from the player base as well, what you find some success with. Thank you again, like I said, for all the support in the channel. Like, comment, subscribe. Trying to hit 10K subscribers by the end of the year. So if you're watching this, you're not subscribed, please consider it. We try to do guides and helpful tips like this on a regular basis, and keep you up to date with all the information Tarkov related, and just have good quality content as well. Share some fun raids, some other things with you. I'm going to flash some socials up at your way as well. Twitter, Twitch, Discord, TikTok. Trying to get all of our stuff out there. Become a member of our family. We would really appreciate it. Discord, if you want to stay up to date with the channel. We do stream live over on Twitch Fridays, Saturdays, typically Sundays as well. And we've been trying to do a lot of streams during the week in addition to that. So if you want to come catch us, typically we're streaming around 8:30 Eastern Standard Time, and we go pretty late into the evenings, especially on the weekends. So come join us. We've been grinding a lot of our main account, and we'll probably be doing some hardcore live here pretty soon as well once we get that series up and running. And yeah, we'd love to have you. We'd love to see you. We'd love to help you out. So if you have any other questions down below, as far as what you're thinking about, be sure to let us know. Chat with us. We love to respond in comments. I also do have a playlist for some helpful teaching Tarkov tips. So if you're looking at, or you're new to Tarkov and you're not sure how to mod weapons, post FX, and a few of those other things, be sure to check that playlist out. And I think you'll find a ton of helpful tips there to get you started in your Tarkov journey. With that, close it out. I've been Doc, Average Gamer Guys, as always. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next Escape from Tarkov video. Peace.